Well, as we were talking about just before the break, in Pakistan, more than 20 million people are affected by the worst floods in that country's history. A team of Canadian medical professionals has just returned from Pakistan. Omar Elahi is a member of the Canadian Medical Assistance Team. He joins me now in studio. Just a bit of context for our viewers who are joining us right now. You are literally just off the flight. So about 16, 17 hours ago, you were in Pakistan.
That's correct.
Tell me what you saw there.
What we saw basically very extensive damage, a lot of flooding, roads were underwater, complete areas and regions inundated with just water. Road infrastructure was destroyed, buildings were destroyed, people, large populations of people just on the move, and lots of IDP camps.
And you were in Sindh, in the Sindh province, right?
Yes.
So just put that into context. Where is that in relation to the country?
So Sindh is the southeastern province. It's the province where the largest city of Pakistan, Karachi, is. And where we were actually working is the interior Sindh, so it's about 3 hours east of the city of Karachi.
So 3 hours, I mean, in a Canadian perspective, 3 hours outside of a major city in Canada is not very far. But
yeah.
in your case, I mean, the floods had reached that close to some of the cities there.
Yes, it did. But fortunately, Karachi itself was spared. And basically, you have to picture Pakistan as a river-based country. So there's a river that runs in the middle of the country. So all along the banks of the river is where most of the damage was.
What are your main concerns, having been there and seen what Pakistan needs right now?
You know, the extent of damage and, you know, the degree of damage like that they have suffered is so massive. It would overwhelm any country, let alone like a developed country. You know, so Pakistan's a developing country, so they're going to require lots of funds and lots of international assistance to rebuild, you know, their roads, infrastructure, schools, to help rehabilitate an estimated 20 million people who are now homeless as a result of this flood. Yeah. So it's a big problem there, and it's hard to quantify this disaster because it's not like an earthquake or something, you know, another catastrophe that you can see. You know, okay, this is a specific area that's been affected. The area is so vast. From estimates, when we spoke to officials, they told us an area the size of Italy is currently affected by the flood. And,
you know, one of the things that is difficult sometimes for us in the West to appreciate is that Pakistan still has a very significant and large rural population. Yes. And these are the primary areas that are being affected. A lot of the people in those rural areas are now what are called internally displaced people. So you have some towns now that are doubling or tripling in size because people have to flee and go to higher ground. Tell me what you saw when you were driving by these places, or you know, as you were there. How is the country coping with that population swelling?
Well, like I said, the country is overwhelmed. Their resources are extended. They're just overwhelmed completely. The army, the civil institutions, the police force, they're all working overtime. We spoke with a health official who was based in the district that we were working in. It's called the district of Tata, T-H-A-T-T-A. And it was funny because we developed a very strong working relationship with him. And he was surrounded by IDP camps from the moment he drove to work. And even he invited us to dinner at his house, and he had IDP camps around his house. So he is living, breathing, and working IDP, you know, this flood disaster 24 hours a day. Let
me ask you one last question before we go. I want you to tell us about the money, because we know that after the Haiti earthquake and the tsunami, the money came pouring in. Mm-hmm. That hasn't been the case with Pakistan, right. Even though the United Nations has called for hundreds of millions of dollars in Pakistan as well. From what you saw on the ground, is there enough money there helping the people and getting to the people that need it?
I think the current issue to tackle the current acute problem, the money is there. It's just the issue of logistics and personnel on the ground that need to be invested in. But I believe that Pakistan does and will need the international community's help to rebuild these areas over the next 5 or 10 years. And it was actually very disturbing to see that, because just my own personal take on it was I didn't see that the country was capable of doing that. So it will definitely need the international community's help to rebuild.
And that's what you think it'll be 5 to 10 years?
I believe so.
All right, Omar Elahi, thanks for joining us right out of a plane, came straight to the CBC to share this message with our viewers. Thank you.
Thank you.